This is the madness of crowds on normal and hard. So in this quest, we're looking for Brawn Pits, and there's 3 different places he could be. If we had a high enough concentration skill, we could ask the giants ahead, but I'd already went in and just tested that, and I know my concentration skill is not good enough, so best to just not talk to them.
The wind changes, and a sudden whiff of musky odor makes you both nauseous and angry. Don't these brutes have a wash?
So you can see the aqueduct. That's the first place he could be. And usually we would see him. I don't see him, so I don't think he's there. So we'll go check the other 2 spots. And when we get to kind of the end of this road here, we're going to make a left, but first we're going to do this optional, because this optional actually makes the end fight easier. So if we take Iona's side, then we're going to fight this guy, and if we fight him now, if we don't fight him, basically he helps in the end fight. Makes the end fight a little bit tougher. And there's some other things you can do to make the end fight easier, but this is the one that is sort of like really quick to do. Alright, and spot number 2 is up on top of this hill, and there he is. There's usually 1 or 2 hill spirit giants here. We'll just, if they don't bother us, we won't bother them. Alright, so now we're going to meet him at his tent, but first we have to find one thing to use for his treatment. And I always find it easiest to just head to the river area, because I pretty much always find something there. These scorpions won't attack us, they're allied with Iona. And sometimes there could be something on that hill, it's not there today. And so there's either going to be like a splinter skull, which you can kind of see, or there's going to be like a mushroom thing. There it is. Spear with a giant skull. So unfortunately some things turn hostile after we do this one. There's like some other ones that we could find on the river, but this one's here, so we'll grab it.
As you take the burned giant skull from the pike, you hear a voice coming from the bushes. You claim my glory. Very well. Your challenge is accepted.
It's like a piece of log, I think, is the other one. I almost always find, well, it's always along this river. Sometimes easier to find than other times. But if I find the spear, I just grab it. And there's some elementals and things that near Brawn Pits that normally if I take that skull, they become hostile instead of neutral. And that's okay, they're not too bad. I just want to make sure before I start the fight, I want to make sure I know if they're hostile so I don't start the other fight. Looks like they're neutral. I think when it's on this other side of the river, closer to them, then they become hostile, but right now they're neutral. So now we just need to clear all the enemies here, and then Brawn Pits will come. So the story is that like we have this curse, but we don't know it, and Brawn Pits is trying to help us. All right, and then then he instructs us to go take a nap.
You lay down on the bed of furs. Perhaps oblivion will take you for a spell, if you can just get past the anger that boils within.
So this curse or whatever that these Stormreach citizens have, we have it. And we can shrine if we need it.
By the forge! The fire giant stammers as he stares at you in disbelief. What are you doing here?
So there's if we do some things at the altars, we can keep those elementals from spawning, but the elementals are not really too bad. I hear an archer, but I don't see him. There he is. He's hiding. But the other guy, he comes about halfway through if we don't defeat him. So that one's I find a little more helpful, and it's right on the way usually. All right, well, we got a nice bow. Let's see, elasticity, so it has an extra critical range. Anarchic, which means we'd have a negative level if we used it, so that's probably not good for us. And keen, so oh, elasticity. Okay, that gives it extra critical damage. So it's not a bad bow. It's just not one that that I would use on this build. And so I'm going to go right back out and come back in on hard. Haven't seen this one yet. That's actually not a bad item for a shield basher type, which I'm not. But I bet you the Vanguard would want to buy this. So I'm going to pick it up and maybe see if I can't sell it. And then I'm going to go right back in on hard.
A handful of nomadic giants have pitched their tents outside the Stormreach city walls, trading their goods and stores with smaller folk.
And I might see if I can get my concentration up with an item, and talk to these guys. They tell you exactly where Brawn Pits is, but it's not, it's not that hard.
Changes, and a sudden whiff of
without
musty odor makes you both nauseous and angry. Don't these brutes have a wash?
Yeah, and so this is kind of our clues that we're getting infected with the curse, the madness. Let's see if we can see Brawn Pits up there. I guess it's maybe it's a little hard to tell. I'm just going to go do the usual path I do. And we want to take Iona's side. And then if we defeat these Drow, they don't come and help in the end fight. And they're a little more impactful. They're a little more impactful than the elementals. At least for this build. Elementals really don't do much. And there's Brawn Pits again. Alright, so now we're going to find either the driftwood log or the skull. And I usually just kind of, this tree and hill is sort of the marker that I use to know I'm going the right way. And then when I kind of get to the top of the hill, I take sort of what I would call the second path. There's one further over. And I always check for the skull there because it's often on top of that hill. But if not, I just start hitting Q and look for the driftwood log or the skull, whichever I find first. And last time we found the skull, so I'm hoping we'll find the driftwood log this time. So you can see something, it's a little different. It's actually a little, well, you avoid that fight, but you don't get that chest. Well, there's a skull again, so it looks like we're pretty much exact same. So there can be 3 different places where Brawn Pit is, and then there's different places where these things could be. So unfortunately, you're not seeing all the different possibilities, but it's an easy quest, so I'm sure you'll run into them all. I didn't grab this chest last time, I'm going to grab it this time. Something's attacking me. Oh, there it is. That water element, I'm just going to ignore that. And Brawn Pits, once we clear, Brawn Pit starts coming. And he instructs us to go take a nap. We're actually infected and just don't realize it.
You lay down.
So he's trying to help us.
Perhaps oblivion will take you for a spell, if you can just get past the anger that boils within. The Forge! The fire giant stammers as he stares at you in disbelief. What are you doing here?
All right. Well, that is. I'm just going to grab something to break down for essences, and that is the madness of crowds on normal and hard.